WATD presents John Paul, the Car Doctor. All things automotive. Have questions? Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's John Paul, the Car Doctor.
And good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. My name's John Paul, the Car Doctor, here to help you with your car problems on this Sunday morning, depending where you are. It could be sunny, it could be cloudy. It's cloudy where I am. It's sunny where Tim is. Tim's filling in for Paul, who's filling in for Jesse. I don't know how that works. But Tim, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here always, John.
I hope that's always the case, but
yeah.
Thank you for being here.
I love cars, and there's a car show to produce. I'm here. I'm for it.
There you go. Okay, good enough. Speaking of cars, we have a real car guy with us, Mark Smyth. Mark Smyth is from Smyth Kit Cars. I can't talk this morning. And when it comes to making a car from a kit, there's a lot of ways to do it. You can, do right from frame up. You can do, my neighbor is a big Volkswagen dune buggy guy. He has probably built a dozen of them over the years. But one of the things that when you build a kit sometimes is there's only so much you can do with things like climate control and door fit and window fit. And Mark Smyth came up with an idea. Let's turn some good cars into some useful and fun-looking cars. Mark, thanks for joining us on the Car Doctor program again.
Oh, my pleasure, John. Great to be here.
Well, let's do a little history about you first. You started Factory 5 Racing, and then from that point, I think your brother Dave joined you, and you had certainly one of the most successful Cobra replica companies in the world, right?
Yeah, no, the Factory 5 story is a great one. There's just, it was an exciting category back then. This was back in 94, 95. And when we launched the first Factory 5, I built it in my sister's garage. It was one of those kind of startups. And when Dave came out, we very quickly took over the Cobra business. I think Factory 5, I sold Factory 5 in 2012 to Dave. I still consider it, it's like children, you don't really get rid of your children. So I still am very connected to it as a brand, especially. But at the end of the day, I think between my ownership of Factory 5 and now Dave's, over the 30 years that they've been making Cobras, I think they've shipped about 18,000 Cobras. So it became the biggest kit car company in the world.
Yeah, that's an amazing number of cars, and good for him. But you decided to do something a little bit different, and I think the idea of turning what I said dependable cars, and and when you build a kit car, and if you've seen some of the like Volkswagen kits that maybe had doors on them, one of the things that kit cars are hard to build is climate control systems and door sealing and all that sort of stuff. And you decided to try to make something really cool looking, but all that stuff stays intact.
Yeah, no, good point. I always compare it. I had a VW single cab, a 62, the van that had a truck bed on the back, right? And I remember driving this thing. This is just after my Factory 5 days. And as you can imagine, Cobras are Cobras. There's the skin of a little Band-Aid of a door next to you, and you have a 500 horsepower motor. So everybody knows going into the Cobra world that it's dangerous and fun, and that's why you do it, right? That's a different kind of customer. But when it comes to people that drive on the streets, safety matters. You can have these high-performance cars today. Anything after the 90s is amazing performance these days, as you well know. But to take the climate control and the safety and the reliability of these modern computer-controlled drivetrains and automobiles and make kind of that middle-of-the-road kit car. So in my case, I took something like a Dodge Charger, a Hemi Charger, and I made a cut right behind the front seats, kept the entire floor pan, so everything that makes it go or stop is still there. The whole car is intact, and yet right behind the front seat, the top third of the car gets cut away, right? And then we engineered this very strong thick aluminum inner bed for the truck, and then fiberglass outer skin to make it look good design-wise. And we ended up with it's a new category of kit car back then. We've been doing it for 10 years now. But they call them utes in Australia. The little mini car-based trucks are called utes, UTE. And so we called them Smyth Utes early on, and it really caught fire because even seasoned car builders were like me. You're driving a single cab 62 VW down the road. I mean, your knees are 3 inches away from one layer of sheet metal between you and the guy texting, who's not paying attention. And I think people do realize as much as the whole category of builders, they're a very independent group of people. And even though they love performance cars, they also recognize just the everyday, not just dangers, but the everyday reliability of these modern cars. And so it's a good mix. And so these Smyth Utes, if you will, SMYTH, the Smyth Utes kind of combine those two. And we're a small company. We only do about 5 cars a week, the kits. So it's not anything like Factory 5. But it's a wonderful little category with some of the coolest dudes in the world building these cars. I mean, they're kind of guy who wakes up in the morning and cuts a car in half. Is just a cool guy,
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've seen a couple of your cars around, and the Beetle Ute to me can command more attention than a Ferrari.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? There's an anecdotal story. I was at a car show, and so here I am with this. Now, remember, a Beetle Ute. You're spending $2,000 these days on a really good, well-running Volkswagen new Beetle, like a 2005 or something, right?
Yep.
That's another whole story. The value that is inherent in these 10-year-old cars is amazing for the price. It's just incredible. And so you buy this Beetle for $2,000, right? I mean, the tires can be $2,000 these days, right? So you buy this whole car, you cut the back half off, just like we described with the Charger. And I'm at a show, and a guy next to me is we're both parked there. So I have this Beetle turned into a step-side pickup truck. The guy next to me has a $599 Ferrari. Well, one of my favorite cars. It's just a beautiful front-engine V12, glorious. He had the Daytona pleated seats. At the time, it had to be a $300,000 car, right? And we spent the next hour and a half talking about the Beetle. And this is a guy, and he was enthralled with it, right? And then, like you said, in a sea of cars, people gravitate toward unique things. And the Beetle truck in particular, I mean, that whole car to build was probably $7,000. My kit's $4,000. The car was $2,000. There was a little bit of, I painted it myself, because I'm, got a shop here. So I was maybe at $8,000 for a car that literally stole the show among $300,000 cars. It's just the rewards of doing things yourself in a unique way are still out there. They're just fewer and far between these days.
Now, which is the Charger kit the most popular one now?
It's Beetles and Chargers. They'll swap. I have 7 models, but I think I'm going to end up discontinuing all of the older ones and just do Beetles and Chargers, to be honest. The Beetle and Charger together are 80% of sales. I mean, there's no comparison. So those two cars. The Mopar crowd is... remember, I started Factory 5 at the beginning of the 5-liter Mustang craze,
right?
That performance aftermarket. And I rode that train for 20 years, This Mopar Hellcat, Scat Pack, I mean, Mopar is as troublesome as they are as a company. The brand, as far as performance goes, is really having a wild resurgence. And so the Hemi in general is just very popular among enthusiasts that, fix and modify these cars. So, it's the Charger is probably going to be the biggest seller by this time.
Well, just the idea, if you took a Charger and maybe it had a blown engine in it, and you bought a Hellcrate engine, and all of a sudden now you have this 700-plus horsepower engine in that car that's a Ute that is practical. It's got all the safety components in it. It stops, it steers, it's got climate control, and it can melt the tires off the back of the car.
Well, John, I think it was 3 years ago, Direct Connection, the Mopar Performance Group, they run a show called Roadkill Nights out in Detroit where they turn Woodward Avenue. They turn it into a drag strip, and people go and they pick 7, influencers to race in a special, influencer grudge match kind of a thing, right? buddy Jared Pink and Freddie, Tavares is very popular. That's his name on Instagram,
Right.
and YouTube. So Freddie and Jared and I, we get this. Dodge gave us a Hellcat Red Eye drivetrain with a 6-speed. With the computer, it's probably $50,000 worth of stuff, right? And they give it to these 7 influencers, and you race on Woodward Avenue. And Jared and Freddie put the drivetrain in a 2006 Dodge Charger police car shell that was in one of the Fast and Furious movies. So it had a little history. It had, there's a whole storyline. And they showed up in Detroit, and they park all, there's 7 so-called celebrities. We always laugh, because it's like that movie Almost Famous. You never quite get famous in this business. People might recognize you somewhere, but it's really a small group of enthusiasts. Anyway, you're out in Detroit on Woodward Avenue. They put the 7 cars there, and you go. And a couple of my customers had arrived as well. A couple of Dodge guys, and it's an ocean, a sea of $100,000 Hellcats, right? Because all these people are showing their cars. Probably 100 Hellcats in a row.
Yep.
And there's 2 Smith Performance Utes there. One that's the famous one that's going to race, and another guy had one from Vermont. And he drove out there just to hang out. There were probably 30 people around the Ute, around the Smith car, and they walked right by these $100,000 Hellcats because anybody with a cosigner can buy a Hellcat, right? I mean, it's becoming very common.
Yeah.
And something about those Utes just draws the attention and therefore the fun. It's like going to a car show every time you fill up with gas. It's quite the. I just love the fact that it's not so serious and it's 99% fun. It just transforms your car experience,
Let's talk about time. You say you found a Charger somewhere, former police car. It still runs okay. It's not in too bad a shape. How long would someone who's fairly competent with a decent set of tools take to turn that into, not counting paint, turn that into a running, driving car?
I'll bet. And I've been doing this for 10 years now, just with the Utes. And the range goes from really talented folks that do it in about 35 or 40 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they're having fun. It's their first time building one of my cars, so they still take some time on it. And then the rookies, which I gotta say, like you said, paint is the difficult part for most people, and a lot of people are willing to dive in because these days a lot of these products are pretty easy to use. It's not like when we were kids painting some car in lacquer. These new products that are catalyzed and they shrink before you start sanding them. It's pretty easy to paint a car these days.
Yep.
Nobody does it, but it's pretty easy to do. If somebody who's a rookie starts off, they'll bolt together all the aluminum and have it looking in an amazing short amount of time, like 10 or 15 hours. It'll start looking like it's almost done. And then the real work begins of fitting the panels and getting all that done. So you'll probably spend 20 hours cutting and getting the kit positioned. And then those outer those outer fiberglass panels, that's where the time is. And they'll spend another 20, 30, 40, 50, depending on their skill level. That's where the time is. Because, you're bonding with some advanced adhesives, that have come out, since the old days. Remember a Honda, glues the roof, a steel roof on a steel, chassis. They glue the roof on these cars, right? So these adhesives these days, and that's not a criticism, it works great. These adhesives are amazing these days. And so we took advantage of a lot of those higher tech things. Remember, we have to bond a fiberglass rear window surround onto the remnants of the old steel car, right? So we took advantage of that shift in technology 10 years ago, and we use a lot of those advanced adhesives, which are very common now. And so it really was a perfect storm. We were there at the right product at the right time, 10 years ago. But figure 80, 100 hours for a rookie.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess, like you said, somebody who's a seasoned pro who's done more than one. It's like anything you do the first time, and I don't care if it's putting together a piece of IKEA furniture or a barbecue grill. The first one takes you 3 times as long as the 5th or 6th one. So yeah, exactly.
I think I've spent longer. I think I've spent longer on an IKEA furniture piece sometimes than on the car.
Yeah. Now, what's changed in your business? It seemed like for a while there, you were going to only sell kits to people who were going to resell them afterwards. Is that still the case? What's going on?
Yeah, last December we the direct-to-consumer market, I don't care what business you're in, social media is fabulous. We're blessed to have a passion-based brand.
Right.
Smyth Performance is a brand that sells things that people really get into. I mean, I can't imagine these days trying to sell just a normal product without all the drama, because social media ignores you if you're just normal, everyday, regular, good person, right? If you're a machine shop in Everett or something, how the heck do you get out there with social media being one of the only ways? As you know well, I'm sure, radio has been very consistent. People love the radio. They drive to work. They keep it going. But if you go to television or any of the other media, magazines, they're gone. So we used to have access to the entire market of kit car aficionados. We used to have access to the entire segment with one full-page ad in Kit Car magazine. Well, I mean, obviously everything's changed, not just a little bit. This is a big seismic change in direct-to-consumer. So if you can reach people like we can on social media, it works. But it's really difficult. I always tell my guys, I go, you're not just selling a kit car. You're selling what probably is one of the most complicated consumer products in the world. I mean, you have to not only sell the car, but then you have to help them build it. And it's not that the project is so complicated, is that as a product, it's way up there in complexity compared to a couch,
Yeah.
And the direct consumer side, it's really hard. So we found ourselves selling over half of our cars to people that were repeat builders because there's a lot of money in it. The Beetle's a great example. A guy buys a Beetle kit for $4,000. He buys a Beetle for a really nice one for $4,000 or $5,000. He's in at $10,000, let's say. The cars sell. One sold at auction a couple of months ago for $22,000. Right? I mean, the people can't get enough of the Beetle. It is one of those cars that you instantly have a cars and coffee fun car that is safe, reliable, and you drive it every day. I mean, it just makes it's that dual purpose. You drive it every day and you go to a car and win a show and win a trophy. And so most of the men and women over 50, the Beetle is what they choose, and they don't. And these are guys. I always ask. I have a guy in France who has like 2 real GT40s, and he's one of that caliber of wealth, right? Mm-hmm. And he has a factory 5 track car from the old days, and he bought a Beetle, Ute. And I call him and I go, what? I got to ask. You can get any car in the world. Why on earth are you going to have a Beetle truck in France when you have a semi full of cars, right? And he goes, Mark, we love the Beetle. So the guys get in the back of the truck at pit days, at race days.
Yep.
And it's back to fun. It's back to just plain fun. So even really serious car guys that you wouldn't ever think would buy a Beetle love that little car as a truck. Remember, they ignore it as a Beetle, but as a truck, it's just this rock star car. So, yeah, it's a wild business that way. But direct to consumer is hard. So selling to repeat builders, I don't make another phone call. They buy the cars. I give them 2 or 3 at a time. I don't talk to them again. The next time they call me, they get 2 more. Whereas retail guys, as much as I love them and as much as they put me where I am in life, I mean, starting with Factory 5, that's been my whole career. Do-it-yourself cars. And the retail side literally made me what I am today. But in today's world, it's just proving too difficult. I don't have an ad budget of $1 million. If you hear about me word of mouth or on the radio or something, hey, good for you, right? But reach is really tough. People's attention span. You're fighting for attention with some of the best entertainers in the world on Instagram, and you can't compete. And that's me with an exciting product like a car-based truck, and I still can't compete for their eyeballs.
Right.
So it makes it very hard. So anyway, we did that in January. We said no more retail kits. And then, like I always do, I folded, and I started doing them again for select people that would call or whatever. And just recently, we went back to it and said, you know what, let's keep the Charger and the Beetle because we have enough volume in those to make some money if we do 5 at a time, let's say. But let's drop the rest of the line because the reality of the world.
So if Tim, my producer today, wanted to buy a kit, he could still buy one?
The Charger, this next few weeks, I'm letting everybody know that I'm discontinuing. Great example, the old Jetta that we did with our first one. And
which was beautiful.
Emotionally, I love that. The Mark IV Jetta is a wonder of a car. They're legendary. And 99 to 04. And it's still It's one of my favorite cars, even though it's a simple little Jetta. You can get a TDI that gets 50 miles per gallon. You can do all these great things, right? But I have to let it go. It's just too old. And if I'm not doing 5 at a time or so, there's no way. I can't price these things at $10,000 with the kit.
Yeah.
And if I can't price them, it doesn't mean they're not worth it. They do cost a lot to make, but the market won't pay that. And so I have to let it go. So Chargers or Beetles, you'll be able to get them for the next 10 years. But the rest of them, I think we're gonna send them off into the sunset with love in our hearts. but they do have to go.
And you have something new. If you've ever spent any time on the highway, one of the things that catches your attention is somebody towing around a teardrop trailer. They're cute as can be, and you guys are putting together one, right?
Talk about accidental success, right? I just wanted a little trailer that would haul my CB750 Cafe Racer. So if you go to an open track event, there's a culture of camping and racing that's it's a fun group of guys, right? And I shouldn't even say guys. That's it. There's more and more women in that world every day. But I can fit this little Honda CB750 in the back, and I made it all aluminum because that's what we do. The truck beds are all aluminum, so we have all this expensive machinery to form aluminum. So rather than have a plywood old style teardrop trailer, I said, I want to. The back of the trailer is kind of like my Daytona coupe that I did at Factory 5. That was my last car I designed, soups and nuts. And it has that cam back, arrow back, and I put a big door in it so that I could pull the motorcycle in. But when the motorcycle comes out, you've got a huge bed, you're dry, it's aluminum with doors, so, you're secure. You can camp someplace where there's bears, because you can lock the thing up and sleep. They sell $350 air conditioning units for these things now. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I did that for myself, and everybody loved it. And so the boys, my son Cooper and William that work for me, they said, I know you're the car guy out back here. I aspire in life to be the old guy out back, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of ran with it. So they started testing the waters. We did 25 beta kits, mostly to existing builders and customers that we trust. And we're starting to ship those next week. And we sold 25 trailers for cost. The cost was like $3,000 for all the aluminum and everything. And we sold them for cost. And in 7 days, they sold out.
Wow.
And so we started diving in. And I just put a couple of new pictures up the other day. And it's really cute. So we did 2 models. One's a 4x8 based teardrop that's about 10 feet long by the time you look at all the extensions and everything. And then we did this 5x10 version, which is really kind of cool. It's more of a 5x10 sounds small until you see it, but these can be towed by a Honda Civic. They're very light. It's all aluminum. And so what happened was the dual purpose trailer where you can pull a toy, a motorcycle, bicycle, whatever, you can pull those in the back and camp in it. That became kind of a little dual purpose category for us. And so here we are in the kit trailer business, John. Go figure. And believe it or not, the growth there. I mean, I might talk about how cars, and there's fewer people building cars these days, which there are. Trailers. I had no idea the teardrop trailer market was $1 billion business in the United States. I had no idea. And that's what it is. It's absolutely insane. And then you couple it with these teardrop trailers sell for $30,000. And I shake my head. And I go, what? A 10-foot trailer? There's $30,000.
Yeah.
And then we come in here for $5,000 or so, and people just freaked out. So
the smaller one looks like it would work as a, and I don't know the exact requirements, but if for people that go to these drag and drive events, they have to drive to them, but they can pull a small trailer. This looks like it'd be excellent for that. For coverage, for press, it's going to be great because a lot of these, the roadkill crowd started that whole drag and drive theme, if you will. And a lot of our customers, with the Chargers especially, they do the events, and they'll go around the country doing these events. And you're right, loading up the drag slicks and the tools and the jacks and all the stuff it takes. You're allowed to tow a trailer behind the car you're racing. So you have to go town to town in the car that you're racing. So it has to be street legal and able to make the trip. They can't be too specialized as a drag car, right? Or it won't. These cars are made to go 10 seconds, down the strip. They also have to go 200 miles. So it's a fascinating club of people that do those events. But you can imagine the crossover is people that kind of camp or haul stuff or, they're just motorheads. These guys are great. They're
there are people literally out there just waiting for the next project to do because they're 60 years old and this is what they do for fun. So it's really just, like I said, I'm blessed with some of the coolest customers in the world. I mean, these guys are great.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic business. And if people want more information, it's smythkitcars.com, SMYTH, kitcars.com, and they can learn all about it. And do you occasionally on your site have links to already built cars for somebody who wants to buy it rather than build it?
I'm about to get all of the names. That was the big push last year, was going to the builder network to supply them. And so the builders spent the 6 months of the year getting ready for taking over some of the sales work that I do. So yeah, there's going to be a separate page for, literally there's about 7 guys around the country that do one of these a month each, and you can give them a call. Anybody who wants one, I'll just hook you up with them in your area. But they've done over 5-10 of them a piece, and they build really nice cars for decent under $20,000 price points. It's not a Hellcat for under $20,000,
Yeah.
But you definitely, especially the Beetles, which are as a turnkey, the car that they built. They love that Beetle, and you're talking $15,000 or $20,000 for. This is a car redone, soup to nuts. The kit's on it. It's painted. The interior's all nice. These guys do such great work. Better than I could do. I just can't. I don't have those kind of skills to do the finished cars and paint like these guys do. So yeah, there's going to be a whole segment with all the regions and all the guys that build the cars.
Fantastic. Mark, always a pleasure talking to you. Always enjoy it. Always learn something. And it's another fun part of car culture that I like to talk about.
Oh, thank you, John. What a pleasure. Fun time.
All right. Take care, Mark. Thank you.
You too.
Have a great rest of the day. Hope you get out in a boat or something fun.
Oh, yeah. Amen to that, right?
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. We need to take a break, pay some bills. My name's John Paul. This is the Car Doctor program. You're listening on 95.9 WATD. We'll be right back.
Stainless steamer.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join. It's the Brockton Rocks revival season. Enjoy professional baseball right here in the South Shore all summer long. 2 for Tuesdays, We Care Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, Rocks and Roll Fridays, and Saturday night fireworks. Don't forget Sunday Family Fun Day. 1 kid gets in free for every ticket purchased. Kids eat for free and post-game autographs. Kids run the bases after every game. Wicked fun baseball at wicked good prices. Pro Ball is back in Brockton at Campanelli Stadium. Get your tickets today at BrocktonRocks.com.
Hey there, folks. It's Quinn Kelly reminding you to tune in Sunday night at 5 for the South Shore's first voice in sports talk radio, The Sports Exchange. Unmatched coverage of local high school action as well as a relatable voice on all things Boston Pro Sports. We've got you covered live at 5 every Sunday night. Have a question for our host, missed last week's show, or just want to share a great sports story? You can find us on Twitter at SE on WATD. But remember, mark your calendar, folks, and we'll see you Sunday night at 5 for the Sports Exchange on 95.9 WATD.
Honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. He's John Paul, the Car Doctor, on 95.9 WATD.
Welcome back to the Car Doctor program on 95.9 WATD. Our phone number is 837-4900, 781-837-4900. And you can call in just like Tom from Kingston. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Good. I was just telling my wife, I says, I'm going to be on the radio, and it's with my two, I go back in years and say, two of my heroes I was on the phone at the same time, Junior D'Amato and John. And myself, three-way conversation.
Three-way conversation.
Oh,
yeah.
That was great. With two wonderful people on the other end.
You know, I got to get Junior back on the show. I don't hear from him as much as I used to, and
he's getting old.
Well, aren't we all?
I know, that's a good thing.
But you know, it's I guess better than the alternative. So
exactly. So we're talking about those car kits.
Mm-hmm.
And back in my days, I think it was around 15, 16. You know, they had the Bradley car kits.
Yep.
Volkswagen engine and everything else. You get the frame. What I was building back then was ones with the ironing board, and you had the wooden box caught beverage, and the what do they call them? The crib wheels. And
yeah. So you
had the rope that you used.
Yep. Used to steer. Yeah, that was an original kit car, I suppose.
I think so, but that's all I could afford back then. I was going to different people's barrels looking for the wooden ironing board.
Yeah.
But my buddy out in Newton, he had a kit. It was for a TR7.
Really?
Wow. It was great. And, you know, it was nice because his mommy and daddy had money.
Yep.
So he could afford it back then. But then once you get your license at 16, then you graduate to the big boy stuff. I went to a 63 Chevy Impala with the 283 two-barrel.
There you go.
I thought I was everything. I painted the rear end with the fluorescent green. And then you get the... But, you know, back on my go-kart, the good thing about that thing, I had the STP sticker. I also had the bar doll sticker on there. I mean, that little go-kart was good.
Yeah, no, it's you know, you'd be surprised how many people started with things like, you know, whether it's you know, making their own kind of, you know, downhill, you know, soapbox car like that, or you know, went to the slot car track, and then realized that you had a car that was kind of fast, but if you went over to the parts counter, you could buy little parts that would make it even go faster.
That's right. Or you go to the J.C. Whitney catalog, and there's all kinds of stuff to make that car go faster.
Yeah, or, you know, somebody emailed me just the other day and wanted to know if there was still a J.C. Whitney catalog. And J.C. Whitney was bought by, I think, carparts.com or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think they have the catalog anymore. But I remember as a kid looking forward to that catalog, and I never had a lot of money as a kid, or a young adult for that matter. And you know, it was like, oh, I want to put, you know, I have kind of a sporty car, but it doesn't sound like a sporty car, and I can't go out and afford to buy a, you know, fancy exhaust system for it. But I bet I can get one through J.C. Whitney and go to J.C. Whitney, and all of a sudden, well, it's not quite a Monza or a Anza exhaust system, but it makes a nice noise, and it's got chrome tips on the end of it, and it did everything it's supposed to do. So, you know, and you know, that kind of stuff. You know, the person who wrote to me, I said, you know, you can still get a lot of, you know, if you have a Jeep, they still have a lot of Jeep stuff. If you have a hot rod, there's still a lot of hot rod stuff. I don't think you can get the cat that you used to be able to put in the rear window and hook up to your turn signals that its lights would flash. I don't think you can buy. I don't think you can buy that anymore.
That's cool. Yeah. Hey, you know the different oil filters they have out there in the market. When I look up the specs on the STP filters and the Tech 2000 from Walmart, they seem to be better than like the Frams.
You know, I have lost my relationship with Fram. Is that a good way to put it? Not that I ever had one, but you know, I was like, oil filter is an oil filter. Yeah, they're all the same. But I remember opening up a Fram oil filter and looking inside the hole, and it was rusty inside. I'm like, well, that's not good,
Yeah.
And since then, I've kind of gone towards the factory filter when I can, or wicks that I'm pretty comfortable with. And Wix is made by a big company, something in Man. I forget what it is, but they make a lot of original equipment filters, and I've had good luck with them. I think it's a quality filter. And you talk about Walmart sometimes. I started using Walmart synthetic oil in my wife's car whenever I can, because it's cheaper. And when I've looked at some of the online testing, that there's a guy on YouTube called a Motor Oil Geek, and he actually does. He owns a oil analysis company, but he'll do a lot of testing of different kinds of oil. And the Walmart oil tests out pretty well. And then there's a couple other people that test out oil, and it's a little less science involved. They'll test it out for wear, and they'll test it out for how it flows after they take it out of the refrigerator and stuff like that. Sure. And the Walmart oil tends to do pretty well.
Somebody told me years ago that Quaker State had the contract for Walmart oil back so many years ago. I don't know if it goes up.
It's changed over the years. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago. I was at Walmart, and I went over to they had the safety data sheet thing.
Oh yeah.
And I went over and just kind of looked at it, and it was Rotella, Shell Rotella. They must have had the contract for Walmart oil at the time.
Right.
The last time I looked, I think it was Ashland Oil, big oil company.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, as big as Walmart is, they don't have a refinery. So, yeah, and I'm surprised they don't actually, but they don't have a refinery. So, they can. They'll buy, and I think it's quality, and their filters, like you said, their filters, when you look at them, look pretty good. I know when I changed the oil on the Volkswagen that we keep in Florida, I went looking for a Wix filter, and I was at Walmart, happened to be there because I bought oil while I was there, and they didn't have any, but they had the Walmart filter, and I'm like, it's a cartridge style filter, so it's not a canister filter. You just
that's right.
And
when I looked at the stats on the STP and the 2000, they filtered, and I forget the exact numbers. We'll say 99.1% of whatever.
Yeah.
And you look at Frams, and it was like 97 point something. It's like, so why can't the standard be the same?
Yeah. I mean, somebody wrote to me a couple of years ago and said they were changing oil on their car, and a friend of theirs was over watching them do it, and they said to him, they referred to a Fram filter as the orange can of death. Oh. And I said, I think that's a bit harsh. I mean, Fram makes 1 million oil filters, or probably 10 million oil filters a year.
Right.
They have to be okay. But what I did notice in my little Hyundai that I drive, the Hyundai Santa Fe, I put a Fram filter on, and I was getting a little bit of a lifter tap when I first started the car in the morning. And I noticed when I switched back to the factory filter, didn't have that problem. And when I switched over to a Wix filter, I didn't have that problem. So there was something in the drain back valve or something with the Fram filter, that caused a little startup lubrication issue. Now, is it enough that it's going to cause any wear and tear? Probably not.
No.
And for the most part, and I'll be honest, I didn't even notice it until one day I was sitting in the house and my wife took the car and I heard her start it up, and I went, what's that noise? And then I paid more attention a couple days later when I went to start it, and I went, I don't like that. So I went and swapped the filter and put a. I think that one I swapped the Fram for the Wicks, and the noise went away. And since then, I've been buying what I hope is the factory filter. But you never know when you buy stuff online.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about the cartridge, or was it a spin-on?
No, this was the regular spin-on the Hyundai.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and you. The problem is you never know. Amazon scares me so much now because there's so much counterfeit merchandise being sold.
Yes.
That, you look at something, and in fact, the last set, I usually buy a couple filters at a time, and one of the last one I got said, not for export from Korea. And I'm like, well, then how do I have it?
Right, good point.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, it's the right part number. I looked up the factory part number. It's the right part number. I'm like, well, is it a real filter? Is it something in a different box? So the next group of filters I bought, kind of interesting. They had a slightly different part number, but when I went to look up the part number, it looks like in later years, my car's getting a little bit older now, and it was the correct part number. The old filter was the correct part number in 2018, but in 2019 and newer, they went to a slightly different part number filter, which I guess was backwards compatible anyway. So, but I'm like, well, this company sent me out, the filter, and I like the idea that the filters actually came with oil drain plug gaskets, but it's still like, is it a real factory part or isn't it? It's hard. Sometimes you got to wonder.
Just quickly, I have a 2019 Toyota, and the oil filter on that is the cartridge. It's like, why? Why couldn't it just make it simple for we the people and have just a spin-on?
Yeah, and it's funny. I know some mechanics who say that there's nothing better than a cartridge filter because you're only really changing the filter medium, and you can take out the housing, clean it, wash it, put it back together, and they'll say that the spin-on filters are for lazy people. So I guess I'm lazy. I kind of like the spin-on filter. Yeah.
I guess that goes along with the microwave ovens and the other things that made us lazy.
I guess so.
And the drive-through windows, so we don't have to go in the store. Yeah.
I still like going in the store, but that's just me.
Listen,
hey, Tom, always a pleasure talking with you.
Have a good week.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you want to join us this morning, our phone number is 781-837-4900. If you want to call in and chat about your car, it's time for me to chat about the car.
Oh, John, before you chat, we do have another caller.
We do.
And also, I can answer your question on who makes Wix filters. It's Mann and Hummel.
I knew it was something in Mann. Yeah, Mann and Hummel.
Yes, the ceramic dolls that have gone out. Anyway, we have Captain Keith.
We do have Captain Keith.
Known as a Cape Cod stalker.
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far.
Okay, well, he said to call him that. So,
all right, let's see what Captain Keith has to say this morning. Captain, how are you?
Doctor, doing well. How are you?
Good. You out on the boat?
No, it's too bumpy today.
Too bumpy. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me the woes about your truck.
Okay, so it's a 2023 Denali with the 5.3.
Yeah.
I bought it used with 28,000 miles. So I brought it in for my first oil change, and I'm down like 2.5 quarts. So I'm like, what's going on here? Maybe they didn't put the 8 quarts in that I thought they should have.
Yeah.
So I brought it in and had it changed. And then, 2,000 miles later, I'm down 2 quarts again. So I call them. Bring it in. We'll put you on the oil consumption program. What the hell's that? Well, you have to bring your car. We'll change your oil, bring your car in at 1,200 miles, and we'll see how much oil it uses. I said, but why should it be using any oil at all? Well, GM said that a quart every 1,000 miles is normal. I'm like, what do you mean normal? My Ford Explorer never used any oil. So I missed the consumption window, which was between 1,000 and 1,200 miles. So now I'm at the point, I've added 2 quarts already in 3,000 miles. I need to go have my oil changed again, and then I'll be put back on the program. I feel like
and even I can send you or email you or something a technical service bulletin on a 2023 with the 5.3 in it that says the accepted rate of oil consumption for engines used in this vehicle is 1 quart in 2,000 miles. So they're even saying, so the dealer's saying 1 quart in 1,000, but GM is saying 1 quart in 2,000.
But
so you're using way more than what the manufacturer is saying.
I know, but how come they're not recalling them? How come they're not? I know the rings are different because they need to get the gas mileage, but
because then all I'm looking at technical service bulletins, and and I don't have the newest ones out because I don't. But there is, let's see, information on oil consumption, engine replacement after oil consumption, information on gasoline engine replacement guidelines for connecting rod or crankshaft main bearing damage. Let's see, information on malfunction indicator light on cold start, engine runs rough when cold. Let's see, what's another one? Warranty administration, engine and transmission assembly. Warranty administration, proper labor. Repair guidelines for engine component wear. Information on engine noise damage after oil filter replacement. They've had their share of issues with this, and it never really says what to do after you see this oil consumption issue, which, it seems to be the next bulletin down says, make sure you replace the intake manifold after you put the engine in, because apparently the intake manifold is part of the cause too. So
right,
yeah,
right. They can't seem to figure it out. So they put 8 quarts in. So I think after you use your 2 quarts, the motor won't blow up because it's supposed to have 6 quarts in it normally. That's the only thing I can figure out why it's an 8 quart system.
Well, and that, that could be, and I'll use my little Hyundai as an example for, it also had a similar weird problem where they said these engines can blow up, and what they did is Hyundai was kind of cute with theirs. They said, we're going to change the knock sensor. So when the connecting rod starts to fall apart, it's going to signal the knock sensor, turn on the check engine light. It's going to put it in limp mode so it doesn't blow up while you're driving it down the road.
Right.
Which doesn't sound like a good thing to do to me. But and what they did is, depending on the vehicle, they said, well, we're gonna change the dipstick, and we're gonna make the dipstick so the full mark is 5 3/4 quarts of oil rather than 4.9 quarts of oil, and that extra oil might help lubricate stuff. So every time I change the oil now, I try to look and see if I have little shiny speckles in the oil from like a bearing starting to fail. And so far it's been okay, but it doesn't have a lot of miles on it. But yeah, I think you're going to have to go through all this nonsense of measuring the oil consumption again, and you might even want to say to them, hey, look, I'm a busy guy. I drive around a lot. Can I check my own oil and take a video of myself checking it so you can see that I'm not cheating the system?
Right. I know they put wax on the drain plug.
Right. Right.
I do that.
Yep. But just say to them, hey, look, and the other, I had somebody who called in one time, and they had a car that was burning oil, and they said to him, well, the number is, if it burns more than 1 quart in 1,000, we'll replace the engine. If it burns less than 1 quart in 1,000, we won't replace the engine. But the interesting thing was, when the car got 1,500 miles on it, it was down 2 quarts. When it had 1,000 miles on it, it was still full. It was what happened was after the oil started getting a few more 100 miles on it, either due to dilution or heat or whatever the case was, it would start to burn through oil. So
Right.
he kept getting kicked out of the system, saying, "Well, it only burned. It doesn't burn any oil in 1,000 miles." And he finally went back and said, "Well, you don't understand. If I go another few hundred miles, all of a sudden it's down 2 quarts. There's something going on with the engine that causes it to burn oil once the oil gets a little bit of age on it." And this is a little bit similar to the new GM engines, trucks that had like the 0.20 oil in them or something. Now all of a sudden they have to use 0.40 or 0.50.
Right. That was the 6.2
right.
blowing up.
Yeah, and that engine, they decided to go to the thicker oil to try to keep that from happening, but then they used up all the thick oil in the country, and that didn't work either. So.
But it's also screwing up the cam timing too. So that didn't really work. So I think I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, because do I want? You can game the system. I'm not going to try to do that, but I can't keep bringing this thing up every 1,200 miles and say, look, and they're going to say it's within spec. Eventually, I'm going to be out of warranty, and they're going to say, sorry.
Yeah.
See you later. It's a case of oil. Keep putting it in.
Yeah. I don't have a good answer other than maybe call GM direct and see if they have some other alternatives. I mean, obviously you got a problem. So.
Right. One other quick point. Do I want them to replace the motor if I do have that issue and have more issues with a motor that they nowadays don't really know how to replace? So. Well,
it depends how good they're getting at it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if they're doing a lot of them, you're going to be fine. If they're not doing a lot of them, that's where the problems start. They crimp a harness, they pinch a wire somewhere, and all of a sudden now you got problems.
Right, and then I get the same engine again.
Yep.
The same problem.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully they put a different set of rings in it with different tensions so it doesn't burn oil.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, thanks, Doctor.
Okay. All right. Take care, Captain.
You too. Bye now.
All right. Why don't we do a quick car review? We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk to Robert in Tingsboro. How's that? The car I want to talk about is the 2024 Ford Bronco Sport. It's sort of an outdoorsy, sort of urban explorer, a little like a country song about a guy who wears boots to a wedding. I don't know, maybe. It's not the full-size hardcore Bronco, although you can get it in a little bit more rugged version than the one I'm driving. It is charming to look at. It's practical. It's got this, boxy retro style. The one I have has a really odd paint job with these sort of, I call them Caldor. If you're old enough to remember Caldor, it looks like the Caldor store colors. Stripes on the side and the hood with red accents on the wheel. So it definitely catches a lot of attention. I mean, it's Bronco style. It's Bronco 2 style. Upright, chunky grille.
Would you say it's an international orange?
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Maybe.
All right.
Yeah. All right. There's also an optional roof rack, contrasting fender flares. It is all-wheel drive, so you can go off-road. There's no low gear, but there is a setting for sand, snow, and eco. It feels rugged inside, comfy, certainly not luxurious. 8-way power adjustable seat. Pretty good head and leg room. The rear seating area was also pretty decent. We picked up our neighbors to go to dinner the other night, and they're full-size people, real people, and they were able to sit pretty comfortably in the back seat. Dashboard's pretty straightforward. Thank you for Ford for putting physical buttons and knobs in for things like the radio. The seats are supportive. There's also this washable rubber flooring, perfect for muddy shoes or if you never go off-road, spilled coffee, I suppose. It isn't a luxury SUV. Some of the plasticky parts feel a little too plasticky. Road noise can get a little loud at highway speed, but it's a Bronco, not a Lincoln. Under the hood, base engine is a 1.5-liter turbo, 183 horsepower. You can get a 2-liter turbo. There's 250 horsepower. It's not a hot rodder. You can tow up to 2,200 pounds. It's got a tester had a class 3 tow receiver. Neither engine's going to win drag races, but this isn't about speed. It's about having enough power to do its job and not complain about it when you're doing it. Fuel economy, 25 miles per gallon combined is what EPA says. Although for the size, I would have expected a little bit more. It has wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, 360-degree camera. So final thoughts, small SUV, big personality. In the trim that I'm driving, certainly turns heads. It's a little noisy, engine's a little overwhelming. It's not as plush as some, but it's fun, practical, and way more capable than most small SUVs. If you want a daily driver that can handle a weekend adventure, look at the Bronco Sport. Let's take that quick break, and we'll be right back.
Even car geeks and do-it-yourselfers rely on AAA to give them extra peace of mind on the road. AAA offers 24/7 roadside assistance, whether you're in your own vehicle, a friend's car, or even a rental. Combine that with great rates on insurance, hotel, gas, and dining savings, and discounts on 8,700 brands, and you're covered on and off the road. Get a special membership offer today at AAA.com/join. That's AAA.com/join. It's the Brockton Rocks revival season. Enjoy professional baseball right here in the South Shore all summer long. 2 for Tuesdays, Week Air Wednesdays, Thirsty Thursdays, Rocks and Roll Fridays, and Saturday night fireworks. Don't forget Sunday Family Fun Day. One kid gets in free for every ticket purchased. Kids eat for free and post-game autographs. Kids run the bases after every game. Wicked fun baseball at wicked good prices. Pro Ball is back in Brockton at Campanelli Stadium. Get your tickets today at BrocktonRocks.com.
You let that mountain reach high. You let that river run wide.
Hi, this is Jeff Neely.
And this is Joe Clapp.
And I'm Stephen Davis.
We're Humble Roots. Tune into Twilight Showcase Radio.
Hosted by Sandy Stride and Keith James.
On 95.9 WATD and 95.9 WATD.com.
And of course, visit twilightshowcase.org.
Twilight Showcase, tonight from 8 to 10 on 95.9 WATD.
Well, we are out of time. I want to thank Tim for filling in. As a great job as you always do. I want to thank our guest, Mark Smith. And until next week, make sure you wear your seatbelt, drive safely, be good to your car. And if you do see an emergency vehicle by the side of the road, slow down or move over. It saves lives. Talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.